Alright guys, welcome to today's video. We have a packed video today, lots to talk about. It kind of makes me wonder if I should have done a live stream instead, but we've got a major AAA game dropping into a subscription service. We've got a new handheld system potentially in the work, maybe even two handheld systems, and a highly anticipated game releasing yet another new gameplay trailer, and much more to talk about. So guys, if you're new here to the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and hit that like button, help support and grow the community here on YouTube. Please consider subscribing if you like this type of content, talking about the games industry and PlayStation news, rumors and leaks. So we are starting off with a major AAA game dropping into a subscription service. This rumor comes by way of a report on the Wall Street Journal, and it goes on to discuss how Microsoft is looking to include the latest Call of Duty game on Game Pass this fall as part of a major shake-up to its gaming sales strategy. Call of Duty was brought under Microsoft's umbrella as part of a massive $78 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard last year. The Call of Duty franchise will continue to release on PlayStation formats for the foreseeable future. I think it's around another 8 to 9 years, and then we'll have to see what happens with the franchise, whether it comes to PlayStation or not. This year's entry in the series has yet to be officially announced by Activision, but it is heavily rumored to be the new Black Ops game that takes place in the Gulf War. However, it seems Call of Duty is now going to be joining the Game Pass lineup. Microsoft plans a major shake-up of its video game sales strategy by releasing the coming installment of Call of Duty to its subscription service. Now, the report claims that this is a major shake-up to Microsoft's video game strategy, but personally, I don't see how that is the case, because Microsoft's Xbox strategy has always been to release first-party games day and date into Game Pass. So how is this a new strategy from Microsoft and Xbox? Because Call of Duty is a first-party game developed by one of their studios under Activision, right? It's published by Activision, and they're all under the Microsoft umbrella. So isn't that a first-party studio producing a game which will release day and date into Game Pass? Wasn't that their strategy anyway? Unless the strategy is referring to the new pricing structure, as Game Pass will be increasing in its pricing too, and that will be to accommodate the Call of Duty franchise hitting day and date into the service. The Activision deal was long and messy, right? That's all we heard for many months, but it was a long, drawn-out process. However, they finally got it over the line last year, so that now the dust has settled. The next Call of Duty game, which is about 6 months away, can finally drop into Game Pass. Xbox can now start advertising and marketing that Call of Duty will be dropping into the Game Pass service at their showcase in June, which is what everybody thought was going to happen anyway, right? Well, most people were anticipating Call of Duty would come to Game Pass at some point, while some suggested that Call of Duty was too big for Game Pass and that it wouldn't go into the service. I suppose what we should be asking is, as I smash into my microphone, what happens next? By releasing Call of Duty into Game Pass, what will it do to Call of Duty sales? Will they decrease? Will gamers who don't have Game Pass, who would have purchased a game on Xbox, will they now go out and buy Game Pass to play Call of Duty and then cancel Game Pass? Or will they discover new experiences and new games on the service and stick to it anyway? Or will they continue to buy Call of Duty and ignore Game Pass altogether? What's going to happen to Game Pass? Will it see a sharp increase in subscribers for a couple of months while gamers play Call of Duty at the expense of sales, and then the numbers drop? What will PlayStation gamers think about this? Those that buy Call of Duty every year, that they have to pay for this game, while Xbox gamers get this day and date with Game Pass? There's lots of questions, and I suppose we're really going to have to wait and see as to what happens. But will this move the needle for Xbox this fall in November when Call of Duty comes out? Don't forget, there's also a Call of Duty backlog which is coming to Game Pass too. So all the Call of Duty games will drop into Game Pass at some point this year. So if you're a fan of Call of Duty games, no question that this game franchise coming to Game Pass will offer fans of the series a lot of value. I'll give you my take on this, and I don't think this is going to move the needle, not in a major way as people think it might. Yes, okay, there might be some extra subs that go towards Game Pass, there may even be some small increases in hardware sales, but I don't think it's going to be enough, and that's my honest opinion. For some gamers, this is going to be the best news ever, because all they play is Call of Duty all of the time. That's the only game they ever play, so they get this franchise with Game Pass, and so long as they sub to Game Pass, they will not have to buy the same game again and again every year. They've got it day and date with the franchise, and they will also get access to other games on the service which they might find some value in if they are interested in those games besides playing Call of Duty. most gamers on PlayStation will carry on buying the game on PlayStation just like I will. So I don't feel like I need to subscribe to Game Pass just for Call of Duty. It's not big enough for me to say, right, I want to pay, I don't know, whatever Game Pass is, $10, $12 or something like that, right? So for me, I'll just end up buying the game like I always do. I'll play it for a couple of months and then I'll move on to something else. I don't think it's going to be big enough to move the needle. I don't get me wrong, Call of Duty is a massive game, but I don't think it's going to be enough to say, right, all of a sudden Game Pass subscribers gains an extra 25 million subscribers. It's just not going to happen, right? And don't forget, prices are also going up, not by much, but they will be going up. So there is that to kind of take into consideration, and that is to compensate for the games like Call of Duty dropping into the service. I mean, it's still good value if you enjoy Call of Duty game, but it is another consideration. My overall thoughts on Call of Duty dropping into Game Pass is that if you enjoy playing this type of game and you don't mind paying for Game Pass, I think you're getting really good value for money. However, time will tell if this drives up Game Pass subs and hardware sales, and I think the measure of this will have to be determined over a year or two rather than a few months. As I mentioned earlier, Game Pass will inflate for a few months with subscribers, and then some will leave, some may stay. So a good way of measuring the success, if this really does work, is if you measure the impact of the subscriber base over a year, 18 months, maybe even 2 years, to see what the levels are. Have they increased, have they decreased, and so on. And that will give us a true picture of whether it's been a success or not. Let me know down below in the comments your thoughts if you intend to subscribe to Game Pass just because Call of Duty is rumored to be dropping in later this year. But let's move on. Okay, so we have more rumors and leaks of Sony developing a new PlayStation handheld behind the scenes. Rumors of a new PlayStation handheld will just not go away. This time, another leaker has claimed that a PSP, PS Vita style PlayStation handheld is in the works, and it will supposedly support PS4 games at launch. The handheld was first rumored back in February. However, we have had rumors of a PlayStation handheld last year and the year before from various insiders and leakers. Following the first rumor this year in February, the following month reports surfaced that Microsoft is also working on a gaming handheld. Could both Sony and Microsoft be preparing for a new handheld portable system? I mean, if you look at the success of the Nintendo Switch and the success of mobile gaming on smartphones, the PlayStation Portal and the Steam Deck, one could argue that there is a case and definitely a demand and a massive market for both Microsoft and Sony to release handheld devices. Can you imagine that? Both going head to head in the handheld space with Nintendo? I think that would be amazing. The latest report comes from a Russian journalist called Anton Logvinov, who first leaked Death Stranding and Horizon Zero Dawn PC ports prior to their announcements. So there is some pedigree with his reporting, although like I always say with any rumors, take them all with a pinch of salt. Known leaker Moore's Law is Dead, who first leaked the PS5 Pro specs, is also convinced that a PS Vita-esque system is also coming. Logvinov claimed that the PSP-like handheld will support PS4 games at launch. He also likened the device similar to the Steam Deck, which is somewhat aligned to what Moore's Law is Dead said back in February. He said that the handheld will feature a custom AMD accelerated processing unit and will be backwards compatible with the digital PS4 games as well as PS5 games with a Pro-like patch applied. He further suggested that the device will be part of PlayStation's next-gen hardware family, possibly launching with or after the PS6. So that looks like a 2028 give or take for the PS6 and handheld if they are both going to be coming out at the same time. I mean, I can see something like this happening. Mobile gaming is massive. It's one of the biggest area of gaming, playing on your, I mean, it's not for me at all, but people playing on their mobile phones, that's a big area, right? And with the Switch 2 coming out, the hype is going to be massive. So the handheld market is something right now that both Microsoft and Sony could really capitalize on. I mean, I don't think they do enough as it is with the handheld marketing space. I mean, Microsoft with Xbox, you could say with their cloud gaming, right? They're invested in this space, right? The handheld market is something right now that both Microsoft and Sony could really capitalize on. That they don't do enough really already, if you think about it, especially Microsoft. They've got nothing in that space. But then again, you could argue with cloud gaming and with the ability to use your tablet or your phone to play Xbox games, that maybe they're already in that space. And fair enough, Sony have the PlayStation Portal, which has huge demands. However, I think because it's connected to your PS5, I think there's limited potential there. You've got to have a PS5 to use the PlayStation Portal. I also think that for Sony specifically, the Portal was a bit of a test case, see what the market was like, what the response was like to the Portal. And if there was a demand for it, and there was a demand, then it was strengthened Sony's desire to go ahead and move forward, fully dedicated to into a complete portal, not reliant on a PS5. So if you think about the dedicated PlayStation portal, I mean, it needs to be something that's not connected obviously to a PS5 or PS6, so you're not reliant on it, except for if you want to play your physical games, then perhaps you can load up your PS5 or PS6, load in your disc, and you can have remote play on your handheld device and still play your physical games. But I think to be able to play your entire digital library via PS Plus on your handheld, now that is moving forward. Now, wouldn't it be great if it had different shop fronts too built into the handheld? So if you wanted to buy Steam or Epic Games content, you could. Now, I don't know how complex that's going to be with having a Steam storefront on there, I'm not sure. But I can tell you, with rumors of Microsoft pushing for different shop fronts on their next console, I can assure you that there will be an option on the Microsoft device if and when they release a handheld. So really exciting space. Hope it's true. Hope that both are developing a handheld. I love the original PSP handheld and the PlayStation Vita, and I would love to get something similar again. Okay guys, let's move on. Over the weekend, we've had another new trailer of a very highly anticipated game called Black Myth Wukong. This was revealed, you can see this in the background. The game looks stunning. Ever since I saw the first trailer, I've kept my eye on it, and it's never let me down. Phenomenal, intriguing, fascinating. I can't wait to play this game. It's been a while since we've seen anything from them, but they've resurfaced over the weekend. And this was from the recent Wii Game Showcase, brand new trailer. The action game continues to look absolutely incredible. And we won't have to wait much longer because this game is going to be coming out apparently on August the 20th on the PS5. The game is being developed by Game Science, and they've previously made smaller games for the mobile market called 100 Heroes and Red Tides. Black Myth Wukong will be its first attempt into the console and PC space. A similar origin story, you could say, it shares with Stellar Blade's Shift Up. It certainly looks like a game that's heading in the right direction, and a studio heading in the right direction. The combat looks fantastic and compelling, and the game will feature spectacular set-piece battles, which I know people enjoy. Hope they are at next month's Summer Game Fest, where we can see a little bit more gameplay, maybe a hands-on demo, because I want to see more of the game. I want to see more of the gameplay, but I'm really looking forward to this game, and I have to be honest that it's one of the most anticipated games for me that I'm looking for. And if, in fact, I look at the next 4 games, and they're not PlayStation games or Xbox games, but they are 4 of my most anticipated games. One of them is Black Myth Wukong, and the other 3 games are by the same developer. The developer is Pearl Abyss, and their 3 games, Plan 8, Dokev, and Crimson Desert. Absolutely fantastic games. If you've not seen those games, I strongly encourage you to go and watch the trailers and the gameplay of those 3 specifically from Pearl Abyss. That is a studio I think you need to keep an eye on. If you're not aware of them, go and check out the gameplay. Plan 8, Dokev, and Crimson Desert. Phenomenal. They look brilliant. And they're coming out. Crimson Desert's coming out 2025 in Q1. So February, March next year. And then Plan 8 and Dokev are coming out straight after. So all 2025 releases. Go and check it out. I'm not kidding you, right? Fantastic. The games look brilliant. So let's move on, guys. Ubisoft's new Assassin's Creed game is causing quite a massive divide amongst gamers, with gamers divided over the lead character, who is a black slave, Yusuke, who's a samurai in the game set in Japan. Now, many gamers are calling this insulting to Japanese people and to samurais. Now, I'm not a historian, so I'm not really going to give you a lesson in history here, other than it's just a game. Let's see how it plays. If the character's lack of historical representation really does offend you so much, then just don't buy it. In my view, it's just a game. As with all the games, let's just play it. Let's see how it is. It's not real life. You know, we're all here to enjoy gaming. Well, that's what I do anyway. Just it's an escape from reality. It's an opportunity to get entangled and engrossed in a new world with no real life consequences. So if you really do have a problem with the game, don't play it. If you're interested in it, go ahead and enjoy the experience. I've mentioned before on previously, I tend to stay away from quite a few of the Ubisoft games for quite a while now. But looking back at the trailer for this game, Assassin's Creed Shadows, I'm really interested in the game, but I want to see gameplay. So I think I am going to get this game when it releases, and I'm not the only one who feels like it. Ubisoft's newly revealed Assassin's Creed Shadows has already struck a chord with the gaming audience, because pre-orders look very, very strong despite the title only being officially unveiled last week. And according to a gaming insider called Tom Henderson, who is very, very credible, probably one of the most credible insiders within the gaming industry, he doesn't have precise numbers yet, but does seem quite confident, stating on Twitter or X that no one in the know is disappointed with the pre-order numbers for Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now, Assassin's Creed Shadows is set in feudal Japan, a time period in history and location that the AC fans have been crying out for a very long time. So is it really a surprise that it's in high demand? Maybe not. The players can track and target their player-appointed enemies in a non-linear fashion. Vantage points will still exist, but only to help the player scan the environment for points of interest rather than populating the map with dozens of objective markers, which can be quite frustrating. Light and darkness will also play a significant role in terms of stealth, and perhaps taking a few pages from the Splinter Cell playbook, because it's going to be very similar to that in terms of hiding in the shadows. I mean, it does sound exciting, even little things like not overpopulating the map with bloody hundreds of icons. It feels like the game is going to be different from other AC games, which is great, and it might be the right time for me personally to dive back in. And I really hope it is a good game, because if this one lets me down, I might really be done with playing Ubisoft games going forward. So let's see what gameplay comes out next month at Gamescom, and then we'll take it from there, but keep an open mind. So let's move on, guys. Ghost of Tsushima, the open world samurai adventure, released as a PS4 exclusive game in 2020, 4 years ago. This has now become the Sony PlayStation's biggest single player launch on PC based on concurrent player counts. Ghost of Tsushima's director's cut made its way to PC last week on the digital storefront, and it launched on May the 16th, and Ghost of Tsushima has proven to be an even bigger hit than games like God of War and Spider-Man. Ghost of Tsushima PC port reached a concurrent player count of over 75,000 players, and that's according to Steam DB charts. God of War in 2018 came second with 73,000 concurrent players. Marvel's Spider-Man in 2018 is third with 66,000. Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West, 56,000 and 40,000 concurrent players. The only other PlayStation published game with a higher peak than that is the phenomenon that is Helldivers 2. That game hit a peak of 458,000 concurrent players, which is fantastic. But it has an advantage because it came to PC on launch day and date as the PlayStation version. Ghost of Tsushima was also a victim of similar PSN related controversy that Helldivers 2 dealt with, although Helldivers 2's PSN linking was suspended for the opening 3 months or so, but the Ghost of Tsushima's linking is still in place. And given that Ghost of Tsushima is currently still delisted in over 180 regions due to the Legends mode requiring a PSN link, it's even more remarkable how successful the PC launch is of this game. It's an amazing game, and I'm delighted that so many players are getting to enjoy the experience. It's one of my favorite games, and let's be honest, it's 4 years old on the PlayStation, and with it releasing onto the PC, it gives the game new players and hopefully new fans. Like I said, one of my favorite games. Love to see it doing so well. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments about today's topics. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.